Okay, we're going to start off with talking about God's heart, of course, but we're talking about Joseph right now. And hey, just to say this, I uploaded a video last week, and for some reason, it didn't, YouTube, for whatever reason, did not put that worldwide. They made it private. So for like a week and a half, maybe, the video's been sitting in my private area rather than being open to the public. So if anybody was wondering why it's been so long since a video was uploaded, that's the reason. I don't know why it changed from private or from public to private, but the setting changed and I fixed it. So now this video should be uploaded openly. But okay, so let me hop in this real quick. So we all know the story of Joseph. If you don't, I apologize that I am missing some very basic steps, and it seems like I'm just kind of jumping into something that has some deeper meaning. To anyone that is maybe new in Christ or a baby, I apologize for that. This is kind of where I am, and because of where I am, that's why I'm discussing these things. So it's not that I'm trying to purposely miss some milk of the topics. I'm just really concentrating on a lot of meat and a lot of things that I'm excited about. And again, that's just where I am. And for those that have ears to hear, let them hear. And if you have to go back before you watch this and kind of familiarize yourself with the story of Joseph, then it'd probably be best if you do that. But if I was to do that before I went over this, the video would be too long and it might become boring for some people. So the only thing I will recap on is the fact that Joseph had a bunch of brothers. The brothers sold him, and now he's in Egypt, and he's in a dungeon, and he's there because of some false accusations against him. While he's in there, he comes across these two men that claim to have a dream. And the thing I like the best is before Joseph interprets the dream, he tells the guys, do not interpretations belong to God? He's asking them, interpretations belong to God. But notice how confident he was, because after he says that, he says, tell me them. Tell me the dreams. He's literally saying that he is representing God. So there is no, Joseph is not anything but confident here. And I'm just going to read the interpretations. I usually don't do that. I usually kind of memorize most of it and throw it out there. But I'm going to read these interpretations just real quick. And let me see. Okay, so this is Genesis 40, verse 9. And it says, and the chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, in my dream, behold, a vine before me with three, and there were three branches in the vine. So obviously here I have the vine and I have the three branches. He says, and it was though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. So there's the grapes. Here's the chief butler. There's the three branches, the vine, and it says, and Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. There's Pharaoh's cup, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup to Pharaoh's hand. Now I'm just going to go over, I'm sorry. My bad. And let me see. And Joseph said unto him, the interpretation of it, the three branches are 3 days, 3 branches, 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head and restore thee into the place that thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup in his hand after the former manner when thou was his butler. So basically Joseph's saying that the 3 branches represent 3 days, and you are basically going to become Pharaoh's cupbearer again, just like you were. He said, but think on me, think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me to Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing, and they put me in this dungeon. When the chief baker saw the interpretation was good, he said to Joseph, I also was in my dream. Behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. Here's the chief baker. Here's 3 white baskets above his head. Okay, let's see, on my head, full of baker meats for the Pharaoh. Baked meats or baker meats is what a baker would make, which would be bread and baked goods. I just drew a couple there. And the birds did eat them out of the basket of my head. Here's the birds trying to eat them. And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. 3 baskets or 3 days, yet within 3 days Pharaoh shall lift up thy head off thee and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat the flesh from thee. And it came to pass on the 3rd day, that this man, the chief butler, got his job back as the cupbearer for Pharaoh, and this man, just like Joseph said, he was beheaded and hung on a tree. Okay. This is so neat that, and really it's simple to see. You just need someone to help you mess it up. It's very simple. You see 2 men having dreams, one having a good one, one having a bad one. But the best part of it is Joseph is confident that he can interpret dreams for God. And in doing so, what was it that Joseph knew or saw that would made it very simple for him to know the meaning of these dreams? I'm going to show you how you actually can see the interpretation of the dream. You can do this. All of us have gifts, and all you have to do is use them. Gifts are free. You don't have to pay for gifts. They're free. A gift is free. So let's start. Let's start with. Actually, let's just do it in order. We'll start with the chief butler. So he sees a vine with 3 branches. Let's go through the word and see what Joseph is telling us is there. Christ says, I'm the vine and ye are the branches. Christ said, I'm the vine and ye are the branches. Christ also says that you can do nothing. You can't even bear fruit without me. He tells us these things. So what you're really seeing is a representation of Christ. Let's go further and prove these things. Not only is Christ the vine and we're the branches, but it makes it very clear that what Christ gives us is a gift. It's free. So if you notice, the chief butler doesn't have to work for anything that he's putting in the cup to hand to Pharaoh. He doesn't have to work for it because the vine and the branches are giving off fruit, and all he has to do is put forth his hand and take the fruit that is presented to him. In the Garden of Eden, we're talking about the tree of life. We're talking about tree of knowledge and good and evil. In order to partake, Adam and Eve had to put forth their hand and take the fruit that was there. Some people can say, well, yeah, but you got to plant the seed and you got to do, yes. But in this case, in the dream, you don't see any of that. All this man sees is there's a vine with 3 branches and the fruit budded. And he's got a cup in his hand. All he did was take a free gift that was already presented to him to give it to Pharaoh, to who is in charge of him. In the other story, that's not what you see. There is no free gift. This man baked those, and he's trying to offer it to Pharaoh. Where do we see something similar like this happen? You see it in Cain and Abel. If you want to flip this, we can call this Cain, and we can call him Abel. Cain tilled the ground, planted his own seed, and from the offering, or from the fruits of that, he offered those to God. But that is not what pleases God, because Christ is not what we worked for. We didn't work for Christ. The law is what we worked for. We work for the law. The law makes us and demands us to be right with God. So here is a man's works being offered, and here is a free gift being offered. So again, this is a shadow. This right here, this vine with 3 branches is a shadow of Christ. That's why this man lived, because in the story there is life. Branches are alive. There's life in the story. In this story, baskets back then a lot of times are actually made by leaves and branches, but they're dead. So what you have here is you have death I'm so amazed and glad that God can confirm things over and over continuously. That way you don't miss it. Not only is there, and notice that he's carrying it on his head. He's a very burdened man. There's birds in the story saying that the birds are eating what's inside these baskets. Let's go all the way back to when Jesus tells the parable of the four soils. He describes the four soils and he talks about the wayside, and he says the fowls of the air come down and eat the seed that's on the wayside. A wayside being a hard piece of ground where a lot of people walk on. So it's really hard for a seed to get underneath that soil because it's pounded down so much and it's hardened. So if the fowls of the air are described by Jesus in that parable to be Satan, okay, because Satan steals the word, and we know the word of God is the seed. Words of God is seed. Your carnal mind is that fowl of the air. Now I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but the point is the fowls in the air a lot of the times in the Bible representing Satan, something that's trying to be taken away from you. David and Goliath. Goliath tells David, the fowls of the air will eat the flesh of you this day. And David tells him, no, the fowls of the air are going to eat from you. Why? Because David is representing this life. It is the Philistine that's representing death. So you have 3 branches, 3 baskets. You have life, you have death. You have a free gift, you have something you have to work for. So it was very simple for Joseph to say, oh, well, in 3 days, because Joseph could see the way God can see. In a sense, again, because Joseph is coming from that promise. Joseph is also a shadow of Christ throughout the Bible. And so it was very easy for Joseph to point these things out. So one more time, we'll just go through it again. That's how Joseph was able to interpret the dream, because he saw life in one dream and death in the other. Life in one, death in the other. Look, hey, I never say this, and I think I need to start doing. I'm starting to see how some of this YouTube stuff works. If you feel at all that this could help anyone understand anything, please, if you don't mind, like it, subscribe to it, hit the little bell or whatnot. You know, at first I didn't say any of that because, to be honest, I didn't see the point. I really didn't get it. I'm starting to get it now. In order for more people to see this video or be helpful for someone else, you have to be the person to hit like, because if not, then YouTube doesn't think that you liked it. So if you liked it, you have to tell YouTube, not me, you have to tell YouTube, hey YouTube, I like that. If YouTube said you liked it, YouTube thinks maybe someone else will like it. So if you think this is helpful to anyone, which in my personal opinion, it's awesome, it's very helpful, it helps me throughout the whole word. I mean, just this one story we discussed, David, we discussed the Garden of Eden and other things just in this one little scenario here. But if this helped you, hey, click on that thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the little bell, and we'll see you guys next time.